2,000 years when we have 50,000 years of civilization. In a 2,000-year-old history, instead of a history that created humanity itself, right? Now, everybody else, now here's the thing is, this is a black man to black man argument, right? But eventually, we have to deal with the oppressor. And we can't be saying, would you rather me deal with the oppressor? Or would you rather him and his Bible deal with the oppressor? See, I'm a problem solver and I can solve problems. So I'm not gonna fight the European with the Bible that he wrote, right? That he's the master of it. I'm gonna fight our oppressor with our antiquity. He can't do that because the European knows Hebrew far better than he does, right? He wrote it for his vantage point, right? So if you know from your own history, you know that Israel was sacked. The northern kingdom was sacked by the Assyrians and the southern kingdom was sacked by the Babylonians, right? And from your own teachings, you know that they were in exile. Where did they go in exile? They went to Babylon. When they went to Babylon, before they went to Egypt, they went to Babylon. Who was in charge of who were Babylonians? White folks. What? White folks were Babylonians. Who was in charge of who were Babylonians? White folks. What? White folks were Babylonians.
The Bible was introduced to us by our former slave masters, by the people that introduced us. Excuse me. Hold on. Stop. All of them will tell you there is no such thing in existence as an original autographed copy of the Bible. Or you can't call it a copy, an original autograph. But okay, I want you to hear me, because this you're going to like. That Greek that the Septuagint is written in does not conform to Jerusalemite Greek. It only forms to what was called Egyptian Greek, which means that whoever did the translating that brought the Septuagint into existence, they know for a fact that they were native Egyptians who spoke Greek, and they were translating from Egyptian documents, no Hebrew documents. No Hebrew documents. So you could go ahead with that bullshit.
Do you believe that a man is going to come from the sky with 600 men and come down here to save us?
What you mean?
Or more?
First of all, I'm glad you asked me that question, brother. First of all, I'm glad you asked me that
question. Yes or no?
No, I'm just saying I'm going to answer. Let me give me the mic. I'm going to show you, brother. First of all, it ain't 600 men. It's 200 million angels, all right? And first of all, let me answer the question. First of all, before I answer that question, let me tell you what I don't believe. I don't believe some little nappy-headed damn Negro with shotguns going to get together and take down the fucking white man.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rucha HaQuadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Also, sincere shalom to you other elders, you brethren, you Akim that make up the body, you followers of the truth, and let me say shalom to the elect. Anyway, this video popped up with the Sernetta. It's called The Hebrews. The Hebrews are still trying to beat the HOK, but never make it over the top to save their life, right? So the problem with debates is at the end of the debate, you know, it's like when you got a favorite fighter, right? And even when the fighter loses, you make an excuse for why he lost, or there was something that wasn't done right, there's a poor officiating or whatever. And this is what happened in this debate. I was actually looking at this brother Reggie, I think it was Reggie. As you see, I think Priest Daniela was in it, and the other shorter brother. You could see that they never really got the mic. Shaka Almost, he called Shaka Almost, has always been able to control the mic, right? And this is because Serenetta is of the House of Conscience, right? So, well, let me get into it, because at the end of the day, Job 9:24 says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. You can also go into, I believe, Maccabees 3:48, where it talks about covering the likeness of the images. Okay, we can also go into history, secular history with Antiochus, and when we went into, we lost, we were forced to follow Greek culture and different cultures, right? Even Egypt, when that was sacked, okay, and the Greeks went in and took Egypt, and also going into so much that they said. I'm just going to try to clear some of this. When they went into Egypt, and he said, Shaka Mo said, number one, the white man wrote the Bible, which is not true. Later on he came on the scene and did different translations, obviously. But we understand it's the spirit first, number one. Whether we seen the original text or not, this is a belief thing. It's a faith thing, right? But just for truth's sake, no, that wasn't the case. As the younger brother brought out around 400 AD with St. Jerome, who infused Latin into the Bible, right? Which really goes a little bit, when I did the research, further back than that, before this man even had history coming back into power, okay? So naturally, by the time he came back to in power, and he got hold of the scriptures during a reformation, that's what that was all about. They pretty much, all the translations pretty much was kept the same, pretty much on point. Some things are off, but you go into the text to find out, okay? So you had what you call the Septuagint, going back into Egypt, Septui, which means seven, in the translations. But when Alexander, or was it Ptolemy, Salakia, the Greeks took down Egypt, well, guess what? You always had Israelites who was willing to join up, right? So then you have people who would help do the translations. Just like this man, when he took us into slavery, he took us and the Native Americans, so-called, and took us, and they helped with translations and helped with understanding. That's always the case, man. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of history on that, but these guys, and this is the problem when you go back and forth with doctrine, or going back and forth with this history, and you just dabbling into different books. All that does is bring confusion. That's why I would never debate these guys. They talk about Israelites and what they're doing, and Abraham didn't exist, but then they got the these sun gods and sperm gods and penis gods. They got all kinds of gods. Exodus 11:7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, and ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So that there's a reason why he said that, because those was two different nations, right? When you're dealing even in Africa, we had a lot of going back and forth in Egypt, and you would pass for Egyptians. We had the same color, right? So, but there was a difference. That's like there's differences between those nations over in Africa now. Okay, so let me get this on this man John Champollion, right, who originally broke down the hieroglyphics in about the 19th century. I believe earlier than that, but it says here the 19th century. It says the stone fell into the British hands in 1801. And they'll say, well, we got dates, we got this, we got that. But everybody they get their information from comes from the so-called white man. The Most High gave it to the hands, put it in their hands. But anyway, I'll read a little of this. The Rosetta Stone, which they broke down a Rosetta Stone, a symbol for different things to different people, is dark-colored granodiorite stela inscribed with the same text in the three scripts: Demotic, hieroglyphic, and Greek. Demotic, hieroglyphic, and and Greek, which technically goes back to Demotic, technically goes back to a simplified form of Greek. But let me go on. In the July 1799, the stone was found in the city of Rosetta, modern El Rashid, by French soldiers during Napoleon's invasion of Egypt. So everybody had their hand in Egypt. If the Egypt gods were so great, what the hell happened? Now we know that Napoleon was responsible partially, when I did the research some years back, for the Book of the Dead. At least he had his input in the Book of the Dead. Okay. Rosetta was located on a tributary of the Nile near the Mediterranean coast of east of Alexandria. So this is a lot of history. And we know that Alexandria, Egypt, right, which was responsible, I believe they had the big library, which was burnt down and rebuilt, so to speak. But when you go to the Nile, this is why the Greeks, this was them letting them know that we control Egypt because you're gods, right? Because they had that god Sobek, or the crocodile god. He was the god who was supposed to protect the Nile, because that's how the invasions came for some reason or another, and they believed that these gods was going to protect them. So all these great gods, you would think with all these gods that Egypt would be protected and Egypt would be safe. Not so. Not so. So that proves that the God of the Hebrews is the one who destroyed Egypt, right? And this guy also, I'm just jumping around, this guy said the Babylonians were white, right? I'm trying to remember so many things. I believe they were talking about 2,000 years, and this goes back, our history goes back further than 2,000 years, so I don't know what they're talking about. In fact, what's written in the scriptures is what's meant to be written in the scriptures, because even if you go back further before that, nothing predates the writings of the actual Bible, because what was written in the Bible, let's say I write something now that happened 2 weeks ago, you know, I'm just telling you what happened. So nothing predates the history of the Bible on how the earth was created, the moon, the stars, the sun, the universe, right? Or basically the earth, you know, us, everything, how it was created. So this is a lot of history here, and this also proves that this guy Shaka Mose and the rest of these Egyptologists, they don't have a leg to stand on because all their Egyptian worship and everything they've found is broken up and was burnt, taken, history taken. I'm sure a little bit was left so they can have some history. But even like what's his name? The one that fund Black Lives Matter, George Soros. See, they understand to fund both sides. They'll set up these scholars in these colleges for black art, black college, and then introduce them to different doctrines to make you jakes want to believe that you're African or Egyptian. And then these guys got all kinds of doctrine, right? They got all kinds of so-called false history, and they know nothing about, you know. Anyway, let me get a scripture. Proverbs 29:9. If a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. There's no way I would go back and forth with those guys. There's no way. I mean, what you going to conquer? What you going to get out of that? He's so much hyped on Egypt, but then Egypt is totally destroyed. The Egyptians ain't even there in Egypt. Job 36:10. 11. If they obey and serve him, let's just get to the point. They shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. And that's these guys. You know, that's what's going to happen. This is reincarnation. These are the same guys who wanted to believe they were Egyptian. They was in bondage in Egypt, and they wanted to stay in Egypt. You know, they wanted to go back to Egypt. That's why the scripture says, woe to them to go back to Egypt for help. They wanted to go back to Egypt. And then these guys think that somehow, just like before, they're going to take up arms and come against an army. That's our people. They always want to do that. And you know what happens? They're to the slaughter. You really think this man going to give you his guns, right? Enough to destroy him? He got armor. He's going to make himself some armor that can't be pierced by the bullets he gave you. He funded you with the bullets. You with the guns. How many of you Jakes own planes, man? And let's say you got some that was in the military and own some private jets. How many of you own bombs, man? They got bombs from World War II that would blow you Jakes away, man. That would destroy your whole city. Bombs from 1945, man. You know? Many years ago. They got bombs from 80 years ago that'll destroy you, man. Hell, 1918, 100 years ago. They was dropping bombs back then. What you think you got, man? I need to see one of these Egyptian Hotep guys with a plane with bombs on it, man. That's why the scripture says, wait upon me, saith the Lord. Nah, you Egyptians don't. But you know what? If you were so bad and ready to take them down, what happened? You ain't do a damn thing, and you ain't going to. But that time's going to come where the Most High is going to give you that spirit where you feel like you can take them down. But that's when all hell breaks loose. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.